I mean, there's solutions to all of these sorts of problems that we've been having. A lot of them are just relying on the strength of our community, you know, relying on the strength that we are able to bring to each other. There's also legislative solutions that I think would be huge in changing things for the better. One thing that we can do is we can create a universal single-payer healthcare system. Right, I mean, we've tried over and over in the state of Maine. We have, Medicaid right now, but that system pits the poorest against the almost poor, and so it creates infighting rather than solidarity amongst working people. We had the Dirigo system, which attempted to be a single-payer system, but it was being administered by a private corporation which was taking money off the top. It was extremely inefficient because they needed to pay their CEO a huge fat bonus check. And I would like us one of the reasons why I'm running is because I would like us to see, through an actual single-payer system here in the state of Maine. Vermont just did it, and they're leading the way on it, and I think that, we should follow in their footsteps and create a single insurance program through the state government where everybody's covered and we're all taking care of each other. We pay our taxes, and that tax money goes to take care. If somebody got hit in the head with a brick out in the street and they were laying there bleeding, I think everybody here would say we should help that person. And so I think we should do that at a governmental level. Universal college education. Student debt is such a huge burden for people, and I know, like you talked about earlier, about how you were scared about going to college because of the debt problem. You shouldn't have to be scared about bettering yourself. Getting an education should be something that we as a community celebrate. Like, we as a society should be so excited to allow people to better themselves. And people should not be graduating with tons of debt. Education should not be a debt sentence. If young people are able to graduate from college with a degree in a field that they're passionate about without debt, then they're able to, free from debt, be able to pursue a career in that field. They're able to start small businesses and take entrepreneurial risks. And here in Maine, most jobs are from small businesses, people who are taking those entrepreneurial risks. And when you have crushing debt, it's incredibly hard to start a business. It's incredibly hard to feel any sort of financial security that you can take those sorts of risks that create small businesses, that create jobs. So I would like to see our public university system completely funded. And I've seen, I served on USM Student Senate for 4 years, and I saw over and over again at the state level, both Democrats and Republicans, rather than raising taxes, rather than having a budget that works, what they did is they dipped into the public university fund to cover budget shortfalls over and over and over again. And so college tuition at USM and at other UMaine universities has just been going up and up and up because they can't rely on the public university fund. Our state legislature uses it as a rainy day fund, and that's completely inappropriate. I'd like to say completely hands off of that. And also, the percentage of how much the state pays into that fund, like when you are paying your tuition, at a public university, that's supposed to be partially subsidized by the state. I'd like to see it be 100% subsidized by the state. If you can pass all the tests that you need to get into college, if you've shown that you have the skills, the ability, the drive, then you should have your education paid for. We already do that K through 12. We should do that for secondary education as well. A living wage. I think if you're working, you should be able to feed your kids. That's just like such a basic thing. Like, does anybody disagree with that? That if you're working, you should be able to feed your kids or feed yourself or keep a roof over your head if you're working. And lastly, I'd like to create incentives to create worker-owned cooperatives. And I know you were saying about how there's this battle between management and workers.
Yes,
and the management always wants to keep as much as they possibly can and pay the workers as little as possible.
And the workers basically
when the workers are the managers and businesses are run democratically, then there's a real democratization of the workplace. Now, under a cooperative model, there's no profit. It's not a capitalist system. It's a cooperative system. There is no such thing as profit. It's called surplus. And once workers are able to make their ends meet from the profits from their business, or from the surplus from their business, you know, they don't have a drive to grow and, you know, consume every market all across the planet. They don't need to, you know, just take over the entire world, and they don't have an incentive to grow infinitely, which on a planet with finite resources, we cannot have infinite growth. You know, we always hear both Democrats and Republicans talking about, oh, we need to grow the economy, grow, 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 grow. But we can't grow infinitely. We live on a finite planet. And to change, in order to stop that, we need to have a completely different economic system. We need to move to a cooperative economy. And I would like to create as many incentives as possible for businesses to move away from a capitalist model to a cooperative model. The owners of capital make their money by exploiting the labor of other people. You work for them and they pay you far less than the value that you generate, and they keep the profit. They didn't do the work, but they keep the profit. All they did was own the business. They didn't do any of the work, they keep the profit. In a society where money is legally equivalent to political speech and practically equivalent to power, we cannot have democracy in our government until we also have economic democracy. I guess I'd like to have my campaign manager come up and talk about like what we're doing with the campaign so far, and how, you know, we're trying to get myself into office so I can begin working legislatively on some of these things. But yeah, Anna.
Well, thanks again, everybody, for coming out tonight. I'm really encouraged to see so many people here that are probably a good 5 years younger than myself, which is encouraging because, you know, we've been, Tony and I have been active, and Adam and others around here have been active in being sort of the radical left political leaders in Portland for a while. So you guys are coming up to meet us and taking that position over, so that's awesome. I wanted to talk a little bit about how we talk about, well, how do we change things? And I think, you know, we all have to do our part in that. And Asher, I've been really impressed with him. He was a colleague of mine in the Green Party when I first met him, but he's kind of donated his life to this campaign. He's someone that, you know, he doesn't have a job. You know, he doesn't have a way to really fully support himself, and yet he's given over his time and his energy and his life for a period of, what, it's going to be 10 months at the end of the whole campaign, to work for something that is going to better the planet. So we have been at this since, let's see, March. We had to get on the ballot, then we had to collect $5 checks in the district. A lot of you guys helped out with that in order to get public financing for his campaign, so he doesn't have to, you know, be funded by private interest, and so that he can compete on his values and his policy ideas rather than how much money he can raise. We went through the primary season. We painted a bunch of bright yellow Asher Platts Occupy the Ballot signs, as you guys have seen, and we put them up. We've got them ready to give out. We're hoping that anybody that has any space to put a sign up will volunteer to put a sign up for Asher, keep it in their yard through the summer, so that we can have a big splash in the public eye, and people will remember his name. We are gearing up now at this point for the last 4 months in the election. We've got August, September, October, and then the first week of November is the election. So we're coming down to crunch time. We are expanding our team. So that's one big reason why we're gathered here today, is to get everybody's name down on that piece of paper. It's a sign-up sheet for Asher's campaign. We need volunteers. We're going to be on the ground canvassing. We've already knocked on roughly 1,000 doors at this point, and we've made hundreds of contacts individually. We've had conversations at the doors with people. And we want to do more of that. We're going to be from here on out every day, every night, canvassing, doing lit drops. There's a lot of like office work that needs to be done. So whatever your comfortability is with your volunteer capacity, we can work with that. We can work you into our campaign. We're excited to build a team that's excited to continue to work on this movement.